Getting all that good mail. You ain't been up here in a while.
Thank you, Dwayne. It is 9 o'clock. We appreciate everyone being here. This is our March the 4th meeting. As always, we appreciate a crowd being here and being involved in Madison County. And as always, we start off by asking everyone to put the phone on silent. If you would, I'd appreciate that. And second of all, we'll start off by saying our prayer and then our pledge, which will be by Albert Jones and Will Sly. So if everyone would stand, I appreciate it.
Let us pray. Oh, gracious eternal Father God, we come to you this morning telling you thank you. Lord, thank you for allowing us to come here this morning, Lord. Lord, as you continue to bless the supervisors and the decisions that they make for the county. These prayers we pray in your darling son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Will?
Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Locke?
Yes, Mr. President, you should have before you the February the 20th and the 26th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes, the board please approve said minutes.
Are there any changes anyone would like to make? If not, do I have a motion for approval? I'll make a motion for approval for both sets of minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Greg, do we have concerned citizens?
Do not have any names on the list, sir.
Okay. We're going to move down and get consent items. I think that was requested, and then we're going to back up and get our Mayor Gluckstadt to come up and speak. So consent items first. Do we have any item on the consent items that would like to be removed and discussed? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Supervisor Griffin. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay, we're going to move back up since we do not have concerned citizens. Scheduled matters of business, and I understand Stephanie Smith is not here today.
She is sick, yes, sir.
She is sick, so we'll catch her at the next board meeting. Next on the agenda is Mayor of Gluckstadt, Mayor Morrison. Please come up and tell us what you'd like for us to do.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I appreciate you letting me be here today on behalf of the city. I want to speak on the Bozeman Road discussion that you guys have been having here recently. I have watched with interest your debate over the last several months about this is Miss Kellum. She's going to be my easel. I'm not going to need this for the moment. So all right. Mr. Steen, I really appreciate you letting me be here today. You know, as a lawyer with over 30 years' experience, I have learned that the more debate, the more discussion, the more input from all stakeholders in a particular issue, usually the decision arrived at is the right decision. And with even less experience as a mayor, I've certainly learned that as well. This issue is very important to the city. I will tell you that in addition to our city clerk, Ms. Kellum, being here, one of our aldermen, Jace Powell, is here. William Hall from our Planning and Zoning Department is here. Chris Buckner from our Public Works Department is here. I hope that conveys upon all of you the importance of the issue in Gluckstadt. I'm not naive, and I also recognize the disagreement that you guys have had amongst yourselves about Bozeman Road and the Bozeman Road project. But I will submit to you that one thing is clearly without dispute, and that is the worst traffic in Madison County lies within the city of Gluckstadt. I came here this morning, leaving my home in the First Colony neighborhood, drove north up to Highway 22, and was met with a constant line of traffic. When I got to Stribling Road and looked west towards Lake Caroline, it was nothing but a constant line of traffic all the way to the west as far as I could see. What else I'll speak to momentarily about is I also passed brand-new subdivisions being approved. Almost right across the street from our subdivision is a brand-new subdivision being built that has 82 lots in it. The ground is just being turned over, so it's going to get worse. So I appreciate you being here. I'm here on behalf of all of the people who live, work, and travel through Gluckstadt and have to deal with that traffic every single day. When this issue first became to your attention and when you first started discussing the Gluckstadt Road, Bozeman Road project, the city of Gluckstadt didn't have a seat at the table. We weren't even in existence yet. Since that time, we've had very little representation as to this issue, which is why I'm here today. And I appreciate you guys letting me do that. So what is the problem? The problem is, of course, the immense amount of development, population density increases that have occurred since this project was first discussed. And I brought with me today, and I will leave this with you guys, an indication that we prepared, population density and traffic flow. I'm probably telling you guys things you already know, but I brought it because as a lawyer, I'm used to dealing with exhibits. I personally learn better from sight and things like this. Each of these highlighted streets, Stribling, Catlett Road, Gluckstadt Road, feed into Bozeman Road, or they divert traffic down Gluckstadt Road. Each of these neighborhoods, Lake Caroline, I remember when I used to go fishing on Lake Caroline 15 years ago, there weren't any houses there. There are 2,670 lots in Lake Caroline. Ashbrook, 650 lots. Falls Crossing, 218 lots. I'm not going to go through all of this with you, but you will see the enormous population growth that is in the county that has to feed traffic down these feeder roads into the city of Gluckstadt. I marked here this new development that isn't even on this board yet that has an additional almost 100 homes on it. At the bottom of this chart, you will see what the traffic counts have done in the last 10 years. To a large degree, the traffic counts have doubled. The number of traffic, the number of cars that traverse primarily Gluckstadt Road and down Bozeman Road has doubled in less than 10 years. We also have a traffic study that shows not only have the numbers increased overall, but at peak traffic times, for instance, between 7 and 8 in the morning, we're looking at a fourfold increase. We go from, say, 70 cars per every 15-minute interval to over 300 cars every 15-minute interval. Again, I'm telling you folks all things that you know because you live and work and travel in the county. So there's no traffic anywhere in the county that is worse than in the city of Gluckstadt. And it's only going to get worse. I submit to you that the problem can be resolved to some degree, certainly lessened, by the widening of Bozeman Road, beginning at the city of Gluckstadt in a southerly direction. That will certainly help to alleviate the miles-long traffic jam that we see every single morning. It will allow traffic from these thousands of homes that are traveling south every morning to continue down towards the newly constructed Reunion Parkway. That this project of widening the northern part of Bozeman Road would be completed at or near the time that the Reunion Parkway extension is being done, which will give people another route in a southerly direction and will take an immense amount of pressure off of Gluckstadt Road every single day. So, finally having a seat at the table, finally being able to speak to you again, I thank you for letting me do that. I would submit to you that this is clearly in the best interest of the city of Gluckstadt, else I wouldn't be here. But more importantly, it's clearly in the best interest of Madison County. You see, you didn't mean to create this problem, but the county created the problem of all of this traffic. It did so because we're blessed to be in a county where people want to live and work. You guys approved all of these new developments, rightly so. But the impact of doing that was to immensely increase the number of vehicles and the amount of traffic, the density of traffic that every day goes through our city. I would ask you to give very serious consideration to beginning this project on the northerly part of Bozeman Road. And I appreciate again you letting me be here. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, again, thank you.
Are there any questions or statements from the board?
I agree with the mayor that the northern part of Bozeman Road has a traffic issue. And we've begun to address expanding the northern part of Bozeman Road. We have begun design, or actually may have completed design, but on the south end, we have worked for 7 years now to push forward with widening the south end, and that includes environmental design, right-of-way acquisition, and utility relocation. So we're in the neighborhood of $10 million deep on the south side of Bozeman Road. And we've also had state and federal legislators grant us money in good faith to extend the south side of Bozeman Road or widen it. So switching the project at this juncture would be catastrophic. So do I think all of Bozeman needs to be expanded? Yes. Would I vote to bond money to expand the whole road? Yes. So you have my support, but at the same time, there's an order that we have to follow. So
I've read the statute to which you refer. The statute does not require construction to be done at the southern part. And I also understand that DFA didn't take that position. Now, I'm not going to get into you guys' finances and how you handle things of that nature.
That's just utterly untrue. They called last week and they did take that position.
I will also say that what would be catastrophic to the city of Gluckstadt is just continuing to foster this problem. So again, you guys, I'm not here to interject myself into your financial decisions or reasons why things have been done in the past. I'm here to advocate for the city of Gluckstadt, and that's
This
what I'm
project
doing.
currently is shovel-ready. We have to bid it, we have to accept a bid, and it will be started this year. It will be finished by, what did, Tim, you said early 2026? If we bid it today and accept a bid at the end of 30 days, 2026. If we choose to ignore phase one and skip straight to phase two, possibly lose all of our state funding, and do that, that's 2028. Right now, phase one would be finished at 2026, and we would start on phase two in 2028. You are no different starting with phase two or phase one. Phase two will not start until 2028. That is a long time from now. Traffic will be the same and worse 4 years from now, whether phase one gets done or phase two is first. 2028 is what you're looking at. And phase one getting done will alleviate that traffic because the people hitting Bozeman Road will get off of Bozeman Road faster. They all want to go to the interstate, and that's where they're headed. They want to get on the interstate to go to Madison, Ridgeland, Jackson, Brandon, Clinton, Vicksburg. So, axing phase one does nothing for your traffic until 2028, no matter how it's done.
Yeah.
In fact, I would like to put a motion right now to approve a bid for us putting out a new bid for phase one of Bozeman Road and having it start the process of being able to actually move some dirt, get some stuff done, and phase two, the sooner phase one gets done, the sooner we can start talking about money for phase two. Either way, nothing happens on phase two until 2028. So I make a motion that we bid phase one today to get that project started.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and a second for discussion. Mayor, you was gonna say something?
Only if there are more questions. I hadn't heard any questions yet, but if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, thank you for letting me be here.
Mayor, before you leave the podium, appreciate you coming up, appreciate your staff and the aldermen coming, and we hear you very clear. We hear you very clear that the traffic in Gluckstadt is coming from Stribling Road, Catholic Road, Gluckstadt Road, subdivisions that the county approved the last 15, 20 years. And yes, we definitely need to look at the intersection, Bozeman Road as a whole, to help move traffic through Gluckstadt. So
Thank you.
I'm definitely with you, and I think this board is as well. And we're going to move some motions today forward to help get it started, and hopefully when the bids comes in, that we can look at the bids and see what is best for Madison County.
And to be on the
Thank you.
record, I
Okay,
support
thank you.
expanding traffic and doing better for the phase two of Bozeman Road in 2028. We need to fix problems now that are ready to be fixed, that everything is done.
Okay, we have one motion on the table, and after this motion, there'll probably be, I'm gonna make 3 other motions as well. But I'm gonna support this motion because we need to go ahead and send it out for bid, but there'll be 3 other motions right behind it. And I hope the board votes for them 5-0. And hopefully this one will pass 5-0. So we have a motion on the table at this point to go ahead and rebid the current phase 1 that we have now, which includes the bike and walking trail. Includes the south end from Reunion intersection south to 463, and includes the intersection at Gluckstadt. That is phase 1. Okay, any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I also would like to make a motion to send out for advertisement for the intersection at Gluckstadt only.
Wait, you had a motion, we didn't vote on it.
We just voted on it.
Your motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To rebid.
So I have a motion to bid for the intersection at Gluckstadt only. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second for Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I'm gonna vote, I wanna do,
On that?
let's talk about the intersection at Gluckstadt. That's part of the phase 1 project.
That's right. We're gonna make a motion to bid it out separately
Why would we do that?
to see what the bid comes in.
Why don't we just bid it with phase 1?
Well, it is. It is with phase 1.
So,
I'm gonna lump it in with phase 1. I'll be a no on that one.
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, I'm gonna be a no. I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna be a no.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, 32. Second motion is to bid, to advertise separately from the south end, from the Reunion interchange to 463. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
That's
That's from where? Say it again.
From the Reunion interchange south,
south.
going south on Bozeman to 463.
Okay.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
It's got a second. Supervisor Banks, discussion?
Paul, you got,
Ain't that phase 1?
it's all
That's,
phase 1.
we're gonna bid out separately.
Oh.
Different
oh.
direction.
Separately.
It's bidding phase 1, but your starting point is at Reunion going south as opposed to
That's right.
463 going
We will
north.
get separate bids on each one individually, and then one as a whole, and then when they come in, we can look and see what we can afford to do, which our administrator will be talking about our finances here in a few minutes. But on the table now, we have a motion to bid out from south end of Reunion interchange to 463, that one section.
Yeah.
63 is Gluckstadt.
463.
463.
That's just one small area.
So basically what you're doing is taking the entire phase 1 and bidding it out into pieces
That's right. That's exactly right.
so that we can
My
Okay.
point is
Have some financial changes.
of seeing it being bid out in pieces. We'll see. Can we save any money?
Well, what we,
Or see where our bond capacity is.
Yeah.
Those are my reasons are willing to let it be bond out in 3 different phases and the one. The
Yeah.
one is, hey, if we can afford it and do it, we do the whole
That's right.
thing at once.
that's right.
If we can't, we might have to do this section, and kick the other section down the road. So
That's exactly right. That's the key is looking at our finances, our bonding capacity, which will be talked about here shortly. And that's the reason I'm making the motions separately to where we can actually move forward with all of phase 1. If we can't, then we'll back up and look at it separately
So
and see.
before I vote on this, what is your third motion?
We got the motion on the table. So the motion on the table is to do that section on the south end.
You gotta stick with the whole.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Just stick with the whole.
The last motion I would make would to give Tim the authority to go ahead and start purchasing right-of-way easement for the rest of Bozeman Road. So that's my motion at this point. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Supervisor Banks.
That would be the second phase anyway, so we need to go ahead and get started.
The rest of Bozeman Road?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
We will start buying right-of-way and easement for the rest of Bozeman Road that we do not have.
We've got a second on this, so for discussion,
It is for discussion, yes.
we've got money concerns on phase 1, so we're gonna start on phase 2 buying right.
Yes, sir. We will start buying right-of-way on phase 2 because that's part of doing Bozeman Road
In its entirety.
Why would
entirely.
we spend money, if we can't afford this project, why would we spend money on another part of the project? Wouldn't it be best to allocate all the funds necessary to get phase 1 done that we have access to? I'm not a proponent of wasting taxpayer dollars. Right now, we've wasted about $6 million of getting things engineered for phase 1, and about $4 million of businesses in the county that have relocated utilities. I'm not in the habit of wasting their money either. So breaking all these things down and bidding stuff to spend more money that doesn't actually get anything done, I do not think is a valid use of our time, a valid use of our resources, and it's still not going to happen until 2028. I think we need to focus on getting an actual road actually built with our money that the taxpayers gladly turn over every year so that they don't have to deal with traffic. We are sitting here making motions to basically kill action. We are sitting here to make motions that get nothing done. We're going to sit here with the same traffic getting worse every day on Bozeman Road Phase 1. We're sitting here spending money, making motions to spend money to do stuff that's not going to get here in 2028. And I'm sorry, Mayor, but in 2028, we're going to be faced with the exact same thing. The new shiny is going to be in front of us. We're going to spend $10 million to get your section done, to alleviate your problems, and still nothing's going to get done. Because we can't unify and say, we're going to get something done.
Well, you addressed me, I'll
Yes.
respond. I have a lot more confidence. I have a lot more confidence in the board unifying and getting what I'm asked to be done apparently than you do. All I can tell you is I'm here asking for the city of Gluckstadt's interest to be considered.
I understand that.
And I have
appreciate it.
Hold
confidence
on a
that the
second, let
board,
me talk.
I have confidence that the board can get that done.
Well, I'm not seeing evidence that we are putting any shovels in the ground, and I am disappointed. I don't know. I was elected to my position. I knocked on doors. I walked streets. I talked to people, and I know that Bozeman Road traffic is a problem. I know that I was elected and sent here to make votes that get stuff done. And I don't know if I'm going to be here for 4 years or 30 years. But I want to be remembered. I want to get reelected because I'm getting stuff done. I'm not making motions to put stuff off to the future and then nothing getting done. We need work done on Bozeman Road today. We needed it 7 years ago. We need it more now. And 2028 is not now. 2028 is 4 years from now. This board is all going to be up for a re-election in that year. We may not all even be here, and there will be new priorities and new things. And based on what I'm seeing today, phase 1 won't be done. Phase 2 won't be done. We're just going to spend a lot of money, and everybody's traffic will be worse. We need to make a decision to get something done and go out with a bang and say, this Board of Supervisors, they can work together to do what's best for the county every single time.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Brown. Mayor, do you want to say anything else? Thank you. And it sounds as if somebody's concerned or interested in getting reelected.
Yes,
That's what it
that is
sounds.
it.
That's what it
I'm
sounds
working on
like.
reelection.
But to me, this is moving things forward. And once we get the bids back in roughly 60 days, then a decision will be made what section of Bozeman Road or the intersection will be done at that point. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is make sure that this board has as many options as we can have on the table to be able to finance some of those options, if not all of the options on the table. So that's basically what the motions are about. So the motions on the table at this point is to continue, or to have Tim to start buying right-of-way and easement for the rest of Bozeman Road. Motion's been seconded by Supervisor Banks. Any other discussion?
I'm gonna vote no, because I think we should push forward with phase 1 at this current time because of the work that's been done, probably in the neighborhood of 10 million, plus the money that was given to us in good faith by our state and federal leaders to push forward with phase 1. To start phase 2 currently with not being sure where our bonding capacity is would be a mistake.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you go forward, Gerald, and while the mayor still is here, I know we're talking about Bozeman Road and traffic coming through Gluckstadt. I don't want you to leave out that Yandere Road brings a lot of traffic through your city. And I hope we can get together soon, because Yandere Road needs some improving.
A lot.
And we fussing and disagreeing on Bozeman and Reunion is holding up the project that I want to push through to get it going, to get traffic moving that direction.
Exactly.
And I'm saying this for my colleagues to hear, and Mayor and your alderman to hear. That side of your city got traffic problem too.
And again, Supervisor Griffin, I agree with you, and that's the reason that I asked to break it up like I did, is because Stribling Road, it needs another phase to it besides the phase that we just approved here a couple of weeks ago. Yandle Road, we promised the people on Yandle Road that we would look at Yandle Road and either widen it or do something that will ease the traffic there as well. So we have many capital projects out there. We have more than just one. at this point. And so breaking them down into different sections will give us the opportunity to look financially what we have and which projects we can go with. But I did ask Tim to come to the podium, and while he's making his way up, I want to make one thing very clear for myself. I am for supporting Bozeman Road from the intersection at Gluckstadt to 463, 100%. My mind, my thoughts has never changed since day one we started on this 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's just a matter of how we're going to finance it, how we're going to get things done. I know a couple of weeks ago there was an article in the paper saying that I wanted to abandon part of Bozeman Road. Guys, that is not my word. That's never been my thought process, never come out of my mouth. That word belongs to the reporter that wrote that article, Michael Simmons. So only thing I would request is anytime you read the local paper, be very careful what you believe. If it doesn't come out of my mouth, just say it's not facts. They have my number. I'll be glad to sit down with them and talk with them on my thoughts. But make it very clear, I am totally support of Bozeman Road from Gluckstadt intersection to 463. No doubt about it. And we are going to be moving forward with certain sections, or maybe all of it, of phase one. It depends on what the bid comes back with. So at that point, Tim, if you would just speak on what you know on the traffic.
I don't think anybody has said anything today that hasn't been true. There's traffic on both ends of Bozeman Road that need a widened road. There's traffic on the south end that justify a widened road. There's traffic on the north end that justifies a widened road. As it was mentioned earlier, the two places in the county that the county itself is looking at as far as big traffic generators are Yandell Road area and the Stribling Road, Catlett Road area, outside of incorporated areas. You know, the Yandell Road area, we are working at widening Yandell Road currently with a project that we're working on, and we've also just submitted an MPO project in coordination with the city of Gluckstadt. In the Stribling Road area, we're widening Catlett Road with a project that we've got currently. We've also submitted an MPO project to help widen Stribling Road down to the northern end of that Catlett Road project. Widening the northern end of Bozeman would help alleviate that area. Sure, it would. You know, it would help alleviate the northern end of traffic. It would not help the southern end. Widening the southern end would help the southern end of traffic. So, yes, both ends need to be widened, and which one is widened first is a decision that you all need to make.
So tell us about the work that's been done on phase one.
On phase one, was exactly what you mentioned earlier. We've done the environmental phase, we have done the design, we've done the utility, we've done the right-of-way purchase, we've done the utility relocation, and we're at a point where we're ready to advertise, which is what you all just voted to do.
And how many years did that take to do all that work?
We've been working on this about 7 years.
Okay. Is there, what I would like to, Gerald's mentioned that he's in favor of widening the whole thing. What I would like to do is, since we're shovel ready on phase one, is to start work, but bond the money to widen the whole road. Is that something that we can explore?
The whole road, you talking about phase one and phase two?
Phase two.
That would be a
You
question
might
for others.
get my vote, but you're gonna have to show me the bonding capacity and show
Let's
us
just,
how we gonna fund it.
I think Greg could
The
better
quicker
answer
I
that
can
for
get
you.
that out the way,
Yeah.
I can start on Yandell Road.
I'm all for it.
Well, here's,
I got one question, because I guess Supervisor Casey pointed out, when we asked him to start buying right away, and of course, we're talking about phase one, and she said it's been 7 years to do buying right away and environmental and all it takes. So to start you buying right away on phase of Gluckstadt South, how many years is that gonna take?
We don't have any federal money right now on Phase 2, but the environmental for Phase 1 incorporates the area that Phase 2 is in, because in Phase 1 went from Gluckstadt down to 463, so it would be a modification of an environmental if we went back and got federal money on that phase. So that part wouldn't take nearly as long.
Okay.
Are you talking about a year and a half, 2 years?
For the second phase, it would take about a year to buy right away and about a year to move utilities.
Okay.
So we could be at the point of advertising that project in 2026.
Well, Tim, these utility companies went out there in good faith and moved those utilities on phase 1. You think if we say, hey, we're gonna cancel this, we're gonna go to phase 2, they're gonna hop right back out there and start moving utilities again?
I can't answer that question
I
for
would
you.
like to answer that. We haven't canceled anything. That's where the misnomer has come in. This board hasn't canceled or done anything as far as stopping anything. What we're trying to do is look at our finances, in which Greg is prepared to talk about those this in a second as well, to see how we can move forward, not only on Bozeman, but we have other capital projects that this board has agreed to do, plus some that we are looking into at this point that this board has voted to move forward with that hasn't been brought back to this board. So it's not only just Bozeman Road that we're looking at as far as capital projects. And Greg will talk a little about our finances. So when you hear that, hey, the board is wasting money, we may lose money, that's not true. You know, on the south end, we wasted $10 million that I've heard Supervisor Baxter say. That's not true. That money is for right-of-way and moving utilities, which is going to be there once the road gets done, regardless whether we do it today or whether we do it next week. That money is well spent. We're not going to be losing any of that easement and right-of-way and utilities. It's just a matter of where our finances will carry us. And as any business, and this is a business, you run it as a business, as Supervisor Griffin indicated. Yandle Road is very important. Very important. We must look at Yandle Road as well, and that takes finances. All right, Greg, come up and thank you, Tim.
Greg, before you get started, I would like for you and Tim to explore, obviously we're shovel ready on phase 1. We've got money from state and federal officials to begin work on phase 1, but I would like a cost estimate on doing the whole road from Gluckstadt to 463 and timeline on doing the whole road.
Yeah, is that something that we could do simultaneously?
And when will when will our budget change as far as the new Amazon project?
I think Greg has that answer.
Yeah.
If we do the project as one project, that does push back phase 1 because phase 2 is not.
I want to start on phase 1 and then have phase 2 lined up to go.
Right afterwards?
Okay,
all right.
What if on phase 2, we were able to get some type of federal funds? That glues up the gear. I mean, we have to abide by their standards, right?
We would just have to go back and retroactively go through their process. But we're going through the process now. We're doing everything according to their process now. We would just have to go back through there and check all the boxes
So
after
if
the
you got
fact.
federal money for phase 2, which is possible,
It is possible.
it would grind up the gears and slow everything down.
It could.
Thank you.
Tim, appreciate it, and I think you have that number that they asked, but
I do.
you have that number because I know we talked about it the last 30 days a lot about the cost of Bozeman Road.
Right.
And that's where the issue comes in, and that's the reason that we're looking at it possibly in different sections, different phases, possibly. Didn't say we was going to, but just possibly looking at it in different phases to be able to finance it and get some of it started, if not all of it, on phase 1. But anyway, appreciate it, Tim. Thank you much.
And to answer your question, phase 2 is estimated at $24 million.
And the whole project is estimated as from Bozeman intersection to
All right, but for
463.
both of the projects, you're looking at $64 million.
And guys, that is where the issue is. That's the reason that I asked for it to be in different phases, to where we will have options to be able to come back and say, guys, we can do this phase this year. Next year, when our finances get a little better, we may do this other phase. But go ahead, Greg. And if you would, let's start off with the 7.5 million, where it has to be allocated and used.
Okay, as Supervisor Baxter alluded to earlier, the request, forceful request from the state was that at least $2.5 million of it be spent on the south end. I believe that the intention, and this is just one man's opinion here, but I do believe their intention was to include the $5 million as well. We have two cuts of state money that are currently allocated to Bozeman 1 totaling $7.5 million. The first cut was $5 million. That is from a state bond bill. The second pot was $2.5 million. That is capital expense fund money from the state. I am certain of the 2.5, and I believe on the 5, the intention is to spend that money on the south end as dictated by some folks from the state.
So you were told by the state that the money needs to be spent on the south end?
In no uncertain terms, yes, sir.
So what you're saying is, if we can't afford phase 1 with the $7.5 million, we certainly can't afford phase 2 without the $7.5 million. And the $7.5 million, in no uncertain terms, cannot be spent on phase 2.
That was the directive from the state was to spend that on the south end,
We
yes,
can
sir.
either not afford phase 1 or not afford phase 2.
Well,
That's not the case.
that's,
That's not the case.
it will depend on this board's appetite for risk and what other projects it wishes to fund. There are other projects in play here. We just last meeting, we submitted, it was about $26 million worth of NPO applications. So you've got a collection of other capital projects that it'll be up to this board to decide whether or not they wish to fund those or fund Bozeman Road. And part of that will be based on this board's appetite for risk, this board's projection on growth going forward.
So the money, the $7.5 million has to be reappropriated June 30th, is that right? That's what I was told by the state. And I was also told by the state that the money, the $7.5 million has to be spent on phase 1 or they're gonna take it away.
I think this board is totally in agreement spending $7.5 million on phase 1 on the south end of the project. I think that came from the state, that I understand. So we're definitely going to spend that money on that end. Not a doubt.
I would rather not make the state angry, so I generally don't recommend things to this board, but I would recommend that we spend it on the south end, yes, sir.
All right. That's just the right thing to do. You're right.
Is there a chance of us actually losing that money and being in the boat where we can't afford phase 1 or phase 2?
I don't believe so, no, sir.
Okay.
I very much believe that, again, depending on what other projects are funded, this board can certainly afford one phase or the other. And the issue with the bonding capacity is 26 and 27, fiscal years 26 and 27.
So, as just throwing this out there, we have a, $300 million loan from the state coming down to us, right? Project Atlas?
That would be, it's coming to Makita, yes, sir. But it's 215 is the number there, yes, sir.
Yeah. Could any of this jeopardize our ability to borrow that money from the state if we just ignore the state and don't spend the money they've given us on the project they've given us for?
In all
Speculation.
In all
Read
honesty, I
between the
have no
lines.
idea. I don't know if that legislation has been passed yet. If it has not been passed, then it would be, or signed by the governor, it would be subject to a veto, just like any other legislation. I don't know I think he signed it, which would mean it's a done deal. But I'm not 100% sure where we are in that timeline, because that money's going to Makita and does not count against the county's bonding capacity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
I'm happy to answer.
Anything else?
I just wanted to verify that, the state wouldn't possibly put extra stuff on that money that they've done. I mean, they've been gracious enough to give us $7.5 million for a road, and here we are, 7 years later, and we're shovel ready, and we're looking at not doing that project.
I would like to.
I don't think we're being good stewards of what we're given from the state, and we need state money.
Supervisor Brandon is new. He hadn't been on the board very long. And I want to go ahead and kind of back up a little.
I'll back up.
Is that saying that hadn't anything been done? Guys, look at the Reunion Crossing Bridge. Look at Phase 3 that we've done. All of these projects was all in one together. It just so happened the other two come on board before Bozeman Road. And what has happened is the last project comes on board, you usually struggle finding finances. And that's the only thing that's happened on Bozeman. Everybody on this board is in favor of 4-laning with turn lanes on Bozeman. It's just a matter of how to finance it. Also, so when you say hadn't anything been done, that is totally incorrect. So the other thing is the $300 million that you named off, that the state, you said, give us, that is totally inaccurate. It's $215 million that the county is paying back the state at 4% interest. They didn't give us the $215 million. They let us borrow the $215, and we're very gracious, very thankful.
Yes, we are.
At 4% interest. So we will be paying that money back over a period of 12 years. So that's a long way from giving. Now, the state did put in $44 million to the new project, Amazon or AWS. And so very grateful there, for training and other things. But as far as the $215 million, guys, that was a loan to the state at 4% interest. To the county from the state. And the county would be paying it back over a period of 12 years. So Supervisor Brandon,
I understand.
that's a long way from $300 million, a long way from being given to us.
Well,
So, hold on a second. So, a lot of your statements up here that you made last month, I hadn't said anything till today, but those two need to be straight and corrected.
You're absolutely correct. That was a loan. The state gets involved, and I want to see something get done.
We all do.
That's all I want.
We all
to
do.
see something get done, some bids put in, some shovels in the ground. Traffic somewhere needs to be alleviated, and I'm not seeing it.
We all want to see that, and that's the motions that we made today. And in 60 days, they will come back in front of us. We'll open the bids. We'll see what they are, and then we'll move forward to see what the county's bonding capacity is, to see which capital projects this board decides to go with. Any other questions for Greg?
Wait, Greg, hold on. When's the AWS ad valorem taxes?
Yeah.
28 for the very first cut. Early estimates, I think, showed $4 million on that, but we'll lose half of it to the state off the top.
So
Which
the
would be
money,
$2
the
million.
loan that they keep referring to is coming from AWS ad valorem being paid back through that.
Correct. That's spelled out in the fee in lieu, which this board approved.
It is.
Essentially, they pay, I think it's a third of what they would owe otherwise, and the state gets their cut from the top of that payment. So if the payment is $8 million, or 10 million in a year. We'll go ahead and give the state 5 to pay back the loan and then distribute the rest to, well, depending on which building it is or which site it is. If it's in Ridgeland, it'll be the Ridgeland schools or Madison County schools. If it's the mega site, it'll be the county and Canton School District. So that will split out the remaining 5 million in that example.
What does, deduct the loan repayments to the state, what type of ad valorem taxes are we looking at receiving when the project's completed?
First year will be 4 million, and then I think it's about 8 million a year after that, once they get all the buildings up and running. And that's just an early estimate until Mr. Kennedy can get out there and assess the buildings. Won't know for sure that these are projections based on what they have seen in other similar structures.
Supervisor Baxter, one good thing about that is if we can make it through 28 and 29, our bonding capacity will be in great shape, and we'll be able to do many of these roads without really stressing the county. But we got to make it from here to 28 and continue to do some projects to help move the traffic.
Problem is when you go to federal and state leaders and you ask for money to do a project, you get shovel ready and then the scope of the project is changed. The next time you go up there, they're hesitant. And so I hope that the county understands what this could lead to if we don't complete the initial scope of Bozeman Phase 1.
We do need to have some of these projects moving forward. I totally agree. And I think this whole board agrees with that. And that, again, that's the reason you had several motions made on this, Bozeman Road, to help move some of this project forward, if not all of Phase 1. We just have to wait and see what the bid comes back in and look at the bid and plus our other capital projects. Other questions for Greg or other statements? If not, Greg, appreciate it. Thank you.
My only concern is I've never bought anything that was cheaper in pieces than it was as a whole.
And you may be exactly right.
So I don't see how it would save us money bidding out Phase 1 into tiny little sections.
But we'll see.
What it may not save us money, but what it may do is let us do a section or two where if we went the whole section, we may not can move forward with that with our bonding capacity. That's where the thought process is. Instead of just holding it up and saying yay or nay and put the county in a stressful situation, we may look at it individually. And I just said may. That gives us the options. It doesn't mean that we're going to go down that road. It just gives us more options once the bids come back for us to look and consider. Other questions for Greg? If not, thank you, Greg. Okay, we're going to move on to business items. I think we have gotten everything up front. Item 48. Mayor, appreciate y'all being here this morning. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 48, Mike, did you look at that one? Because that's from the mustard seed.
Yes, I did.
Request tax exemption.
Good morning, Board. So this item is tax exemption for a nonprofit called the Mustard Seed. And I looked through the application.
Mike, hold on one second. It just brought to my attention that our senator from Canton is here. Representative Blackman?
It is Senator, I think.
I'm sorry, Senator Blackman. Come on up, and I think we have a Representative Blackman as well.
We still do have a Representative Blackman as well.
The Senate side.
Yeah, but I'm in the Senate side. I hadn't made it over here yet. I just wanted to come speak to y'all, let y'all know that if you need anything, I know there was a lot about state money, and as a state, I'll always be an advocate for getting more money to Madison County. But if y'all need anything, my office is right down the street. Anytime you see that blue truck out there, that means I'm out there. So you can stop in, and that goes to any citizens of Madison County.
Thank
Appreciate you
Senator.
coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, you can come back up, and I apologize for interrupting, but I just seen where he was going to leave.
Sure, no problem. So this is a tax exemption application for 501c3 called the Mustard Seed, and I'm sure they do good work. But I've looked at the application, and I want to make sure we treat it like we do all others. So they are 501c3. However, in the application, they tell us that 10% of the building that they want exempted is leased to another entity. So they're receiving some rent from an entity through a lease agreement. And she does say the lease is over in 60 days. So what we've done before in other cases like this, I remember there was a church that also came for exemption, but in the church they admitted that there was a CPA office leasing part of the church building. In that case, this board asked me to get together with the tax assessor. The tax assessor went to the building and exercised out of the total square foot, that square footage being used for the CPA. And so the church paid taxes on that part, and the rest was exempt. So I just don't want to just blanketly approve this, knowing that they're telling us that 10% of the building that they're asking to be exempted is leased. But she says 60 days, the lease is over.
What do you recommend?
Wait for 60 days and allow me to meet with the tax assessor to get it straight.
Yeah.
Okay, I would make a motion to table this for 60 days and bring it back. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Mike, with that being said, if it passes, I would ask that you would get in touch with the Mustard Seed and people and let them know what we're doing. Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I would like to, at this point, and I almost forgot, well, I'm going to go ahead and take up item 49 first. We have another tax exemption request. Mike, have you looked at this one?
This is good.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? I'll second it. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I have, she's not on the list. Joanne Pearson, come on up. Joanne is running for election commissioner in District 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and just wanted you to come up and introduce yourself. Hold on one second. Mike is raising his hand for.
She's welcome to speak. I want to alert the board that since 2 weeks ago when you voted 3-1 on this matter, the matter has changed to active litigation.
Okay.
So you're on the record.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Joanne?
Thank you, Mr. Steen, and I want to thank y'all for having me here this morning. I am Joanne Pearson. I live at 630 Windover Drive, Ridgeland, and I am a Republican candidate for the Madison County Election Commissioner for District 3. I moved to Ridgeland from Texas November of 2012. Immediately, I started working for the Fisher Brown Bottrell Insurance Agency as a commercial lines account manager. After 40 years in the insurance industry, I retired in September of 2018. To continue in leadership roles after retirement, I was president of the Insurance Professionals of Jackson for a second term. I joined the St. Dominic Hospital Auxiliary Organization, and after 3 years of helping with fundraising, I was elected president of the auxiliary. In March of 2023, I was elected to the board of directors for the Shadowwood Windover Homeowner Association, and I am still one of the directors. In January of 2021, I was contacted by the city of Ridgeland and was asked if I would be interested in being one of the election commissioners for the municipal election in in June of 2021. I was approved by the city council, and immediately I started training sessions, and we held a successful election in June. Since then, I have been a poll worker during the 2022 primary and general elections. And in 2023, I was a poll worker in the general election. There are several community events that I have participated in and/or have helped with, but now I am focused on becoming the next election commissioner for Madison County District 3. I just want to say that after 40 years working in the insurance industry, I know how important an application is. The incomplete application that I submitted there was no fraud intent, there was no illegality intent. It was just an oversight on my part. I had been, from October until January, I was working on several different events, and I was working as the committee chairman of a large fundraiser for the St. Dominic Hospital Auxiliary. And that was completed on Saturday night, January 20th. Monday morning, I got up and I said, I need to go to Madison to deliver my application. And without looking at I just picked up the paperwork and came to Madison. And when I submitted it to the circuit clerk office, I asked if there was anything else I needed to do, and I was told to sign it. So, as I said, that is not characteristic of my ability of doing things. I would like the support of Madison County and the support of the voters and residents of District 3 in Madison County. I believe that I would do you a good job as being election commissioner for District 3. Once again, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm sorry that I overlooked completing an application. So,
Thank you, Joanne, for coming up and just introducing yourself to us, because we always are very interested in who is running in the county, in Madison County.
Well, thank you.
And we appreciate you coming up and telling us a little bit about you, and wish you to be very successful come November. I think it's the November election.
Yes, that is correct. The general election in November.
It is. We appreciate it. Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank
you,
Joanne.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're
Mr.
going to.
President,
Yes, sir.
before we go forward, thank you for being willing to run for our office in Madison County. But I think, since I heard Mike Wright, this could be in litigation. We, the board, got to offer the other candidate the opportunity.
It is in litigation. It is.
It is in litigation. We need to offer the other candidate an opportunity to come to this board and lay his platform out, because that's what she just done. And I'm the one that voted against that the application was saying that it was incomplete. And she just said in wide open board meeting that it was incomplete. So where that put us as a board of supervisors voting for it as being complete.
Paul, while he's coming up, I think you're correct. Any candidate that would like to, that's running for countywide is more than welcome to come in front of this board and introduce themselves and give us their platform for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. But Mike?
Sure.
And Mike, this might be something for executive session now. Since it's in litigation.
I think I'll be careful. So the other candidate who's running for the office I believe you've heard from him. He's the one that lodged the objection in the beginning. He didn't tell you he was a candidate. And I'm not saying he should have. So of course, if the board would like to invite the gentleman back to give his qualifications as she did, then I think that's fine. But you asked about the lawsuit of where we are. So I was going to take this up in executive session to talk about the details, which I will not do here. I'll just say what's on the public record. The public record is that we received a notice that you will be sued by certain citizens who feel aggrieved by the 3-1 vote that you did take. So we've also been asked for the record. So the record is the record, and I made the record for your vote.
Right.
And I'll stand on that record. There's nothing more I'm going to say other than I'll stand on the record, and we'll move forward.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Hold on, Counselor. Is there a statute that disqualifies her from not filling out a couple of lines on that form? I mean,
There's a statute that I presented to the board. It was in my memo. I gave you the statute. It talked about what should be on the form, but I also gave you the AG opinions that interpreted the statute. Some parts of it were considered to be strictly construed, meaning deadline and petition. And there were some aspects that were considered to be substantially construed. And I told you the difference. I did. And then I gave a recommendation that I believe that she was in substantial compliance of the statute and the strict elements were fulfilled. And I told you that. So it's all on the record.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And
Thank you.
again, I just want to say that if there's any other candidates statewide, countywide, or either statewide, but actually countywide, if they would like to come in front of the board and introduce themselves, they are more than welcome to do so at any time. Okay, we're going to move down to the next item, which is item 50. CJ?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
As you can see on the agenda, I just need authorization to terminate the accounting services agreement with Grantham Pool. As you know, last meeting, I brought on board a more than competent accountant, and we've looked at everything, and I'm comfortable, as is she, with taking over the bank reconciliations. Therefore, I don't see the agreement as necessary any longer. So just need you to authorize that.
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion from Supervisor Griffin, second by Supervisor Baxter. Only discussion I have is that have we finalized the 2023 tax audit from Grantham Pool?
You'd have to speak with her about that.
She is 2023.
I think that's what she was going to be here today to speak on.
She was going to issue her final report, which was getting
Yes.
everything squared away through the end of, I think it was fiscal year 20, I think it may have been 23. I can't remember if it was 22 or 23.
No, it's 23.
It's 23. She has done that. She has sent a draft of her final report. But until this board accepts that, it's just a draft. So it's not been accepted, so it's not a public record or anything, but she has completed her work.
All right, and I'm just thinking out loud to ensure that we have that final letter or what information that we need to put into our minutes to finalize the 2023 audits. It may be, did this go into effect immediately, CJ? Is that what you're asking?
No work has been commenced on this contract. The agreement between my office for 2024, nothing has been done. And it's separate from what you're obviously discussing right now, but.
Is it a separate contract?
Yes.
It is an entirely separate engagement. She has
Okay.
not completed the, what she calls the forensic work. It's bank recs.
But it's a separate contract?
Separate engagement, separate contract.
Okay.
So she hadn't completed it until this board has a final report from her about the engagement that does not involve Mr. Garrett.
That answers that then. Any other discussions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, CJ.
Thank you all.
You bet. Okay, Tim?
First item I have for you is the request by Clark Beverage to locate a sign on public right-of-way. This is for their new facility on the Madison County Parkway. I've looked at the sign placement. It does not impede sight distance for turning out onto the parkway. The reason that they're asking for this is that the right-of-way extends about 40 feet back, and then there's a utility easement that extends another 40 feet back. So if they don't put their sign on the right-of-way, it's going to be 80 feet back from the road, which is not visible when people are coming in. So they've asked to locate it on the right-of-way.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor?
I have a question.
Discussion now.
Is there any plans to widen this area, and if so, will it have to be moved?
If they, no, there's not. It's currently a 5-lane road. This is the road into the mega site where Amazon and
Okay.
AWS will be located.
All right, that's all I want to know.
All right.
Other
But
discussion?
if it was, then yes, they would have to move on their own dime.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next
Ben?
item I have is the final plat for Wild Oak Phase 2. It's 22 lots on 6.61 acres. We do have the letter of credit for the final wearing surface.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion,
Second.
Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next item I have is the residents on Luckett Lane have followed the procedures outlined in our Madison County policy on traffic calming. They have done everything they're supposed to do, and we recommend that we place 2 speed humps on Luckett Lane.
Do I have a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion with, to make sure that we put some signage up first, that these humps are coming. You hear Cornelius? Cornelius, on Luckett Lane, before we get these humps up, can we make sure we get some big bright signs up that these humps are coming, so we don't have someone going there to hit those humps and damaging their vehicles?
Okay. Also, there'll be signs ahead of the humps that say speed humps ahead.
Yeah, because they're gonna be pretty far apart, right?
About 500 feet.
Yeah, so you want to put signage in.
There'll be a sign at the hump, and then there'll be a sign ahead of the hump.
Okay, sound great.
We got a motion and second Supervisor Banks. And Tim, are these speed humps or speed tables?
Tables.
They're speed humps.
These are humps.
They're 12 foot wide, about 2 3/8 inches tall.
Okay.
I call that. Tables, though, you ain't got to worry about them much, but them humps,
Yeah.
you got to worry about it.
Okay.
Table is even bigger. It's even wider. It's about 24 feet wide.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 54.
All right, item 54 is request for permission for Hemp Hill Construction to subcontract with SIP Framers LLC on Reunion 3.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Make a motion
I got
by
a-
Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
I got a second for discussion.
You got a second? Supervisor Baxter?
I got a second for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, for discussion.
What, has the state given you any kind of time frame on building these ramps and widening the interstate for this project?
Not that I've been told officially.
So, I mean, all right, say we complete the bridge, they've got to do their own preliminary plans and environmentals for the ramps, so they need, if their ramps are gonna hook up in a good amount of time, they're gonna have to get started to hook, because otherwise we're just gonna have a bridge that has no ramps.
I think the engineering aspect of that is well underway. I think the critical path is whether it is funded or not.
Is there a cost estimate on the ramps and the widening of the interstate that you've seen?
I have not seen it, but I believe there is one, yes, sir.
They are asking for a 100 million, I
I
believe,
believe you're right.
from 463 to Gluckstadt widening, which
Wow.
includes the ramps.
I've heard the 100 million, but I was told at one point that was just for the widening and the ramps would be extra. And then I was told it was both in the same estimate. So could you get some clarification on that?
Absolutely.
All right,
I will.
thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the table. We have a second as well. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
I have one additional item that I just wanted to bring up in regard to the items that were brought up earlier on the three motions that were made on Bozeman.
Yes, sir.
When we did break them out into three different projects, it will take a little more work from our engineers to break that out. So I will be bringing a supplemental agreement back before you at the next board meeting to take in some additional work that will be required for that.
That sounds good.
Okay.
No
All right.
problem. Thank you. Scott?
Good morning, Mr. President, Board of Supervisors. First item I have are the planning and zoning draft minutes from February 8, 2024. Acknowledge them.
Got a motion from Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Next item I have is Birdsong Construction. This is the conditional use for a mining operation. It's on Highway 16 West, Supervisor District 5. It was approved by P&Z on 2/8/24. Mr. Jeff Cox is here if you have any questions.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Griffin, second, Supervisor Banks, and discussion. Where's Jeff?
Back there.
Jeff, come on up for a minute. Just,
Yeah.
oh, man, it's warm in here. Just, I know maybe 4 years ago, 6 years ago, there was going to be a mining pit out there on 16, right. And you know it was all up in the air, and you know, with the people out that way. Give us a little more detail on this that you asking for today.
Yes, sir. Jeff Cox of Birdsong Construction. Know most of you. I've got a couple plats, and Scott called me last week, and so I just asked one of the landowners to come today to verify, like a copy of this.
Yes, please. If there's and I think it's 4 acres.
Yes, it will grow into a berry once the lake's approved, and that will have to go through the DEQ permit process.
I'm looking at this paper here and on my computer, but it ain't telling me exactly where it is. I see it on 16 West. What the closest intersection road is?
It's on the southwest corner of I-55 and Highway 16.
Right there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be pulling straight out on the Highway 16, so directly on.
Very few houses there.
Very few, and
no.
The proposed use for it is Chrissy and her brother. This is their property. This is Chrissy Cheshire. She's one of the landowners. Her dad's not doing well today, so her brother's with him. But she's going to be moving out there, and so the proposed end use is a house site for her. She's big into animal rescue, and so she wants tons of horses and dogs and everything running around. And then to put a lake in there, there's a beautiful place. This was old pasture ground at one time. And so it's all grown up, and there's a big hall in there that we're going to want to put a lake in. And then her site's going to be on the front, on the north side of the lake, and her brother's site will be on the south side. Most of the stuff that we're clearing out of there is just grown up old gum trees and brush and stuff. Is nothing great. There's one big section of huge oaks that she's going to build beside that we're going to leave, and basically when it's all said and done, this will be their home site. So it'll be graded, and you know, it'll be a beautiful place, and we're going to be doing nothing but improving it. And so we've worked this all out, agreements between Chrissy and Edwin, and so that's what their future use is to reside there.
Jeff, I believe every word you just said. As a person, I believe you. But I also know, looking across the interstate on the east side, that was going to be a very beautiful place as well once it's finished, and it's not.
Yep.
And I'm not sure what happened, and really doesn't matter at this point. It's just on this side, and I'm in favor of moving forward with this. But I would like something brought in front of the board, maybe at the next board meeting, what it will look like, the finished, when you say lake, what
Yes,
it
sir.
would actually look like to where we can put it in the minutes to where when it's finished, it will look like that.
Right, and, you know, this has just got the rough plat of the lake on here, right here. It's, I can get it blown up into bigger copies or plan sheets.
I would
if we
like
need
for a
to.
little bit more details, because
Okay.
I know the people out there on that side of the interstate gonna ask about it. And again, hey, everything you've said, you've done for the county,
Right.
that you've come in front of us, and I believe what you just said. I honestly do believe that.
And the site across was a little different situation. We were doing that for somebody as we were directed. You know, so we sat down with the Cheshire family, and this is gonna be their home place. And so
I understand that, but
Yeah,
just-
I mean, so there's no problem. I'm gonna be glad to get whatever you
Just
need.
bring a drawing back to where we can put it in the minutes.
Okay.
And move forward with it and get started and move that dirt.
Got it.
So we gotta,
My concern is though, citizen passing down 16 in that mud, and MDOT phone ain't gonna ring. Mine gonna ring. So let's make sure that we have something there to keep them from bringing that mud out on Highway 16.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Scott, if you will, next board meeting, let's have something we can enter into the minutes, some kind of agreement that this is the way this thing's gonna look like at the end.
And we'll show that as well as a good entrance coming in to take care of that problem.
All right.
Sounds good. All right, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next item is East Madison Water Association. This conditional use for a water well. It's on Highway 16 East. Correct that.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion Supervisor Griffith, second Supervisor Banks, and you say it's Highway 16 East?
East,
Yeah,
correct.
not west. Yeah.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next item is NEMA LLC. This is a rezoning from R1 to C2. This is also a conditional use on this property for inside storage. It's on Highway 51 behind Gluckstadt Trailer, Supervisor District 5, approved by P&Z 2824.
Motion.
Got a motion Supervisor Griffith, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Next item is a plat amendment, Churchill of Charlton Place. It's combining two lots into one lot, Supervisor District 4.
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Clark?
Good morning. The Oaks Assisted Living Facility out at town of Livingston. You all are familiar with it. It's got some age on it now. At our last meeting, I think there was well, first of all, let me back up. It's been approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission twice. It's been denied by MLHPD also twice. At the last meeting, I think there was a motion to deny the application. It was seconded but did not get a majority vote. Likewise, there was a motion to send it back to Planning and Zoning for it to be reviewed with the most recent recommendation of MLHPD. That was seconded, but likewise died for a lack of a majority vote. So we got to do something. We got to get it off middle. You guys have the information before you. You can either approve it as is, you can deny it as is, or with the most recent denial from MLHPD, of course, you could send it back to Planning and Zoning for them to take another look at it with that recommendation in mind.
I make a motion to send it back to Planning and Zoning and let them revisit the last hearing that Mansdale group had. So my motion is to send it back to Planning and Zoning.
And Planning and Zoning hadn't reviewed it since Mansdale did their denial.
That's correct.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
Second for Supervisor Banks. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Okay,
Send it
we're gonna move on to Mike.
Executive session for me.
Okay. Greg?
I just wanted to advise y'all board real quick that that will be on the April 11th P and Z meeting because I will have to advertise it.
Which one are you talking about?
The,
The Oaks?
yes,
And what was the date?
the April 11th.
Okay. If you would, we'll put that, we need a motion for that as well. I'll make a motion.
It's fine. It's not gonna hurt anything.
Unless you enter that into y'all's motion. I'll enter into my motion that the hearing will be the 11th, April 11th.
Yeah, plan
And if you
design.
would, put that in, please. Okay, Greg?
All right, board, few things for you today, and I have one that's not listed there, but it's good news. I don't think anybody's really going to object. All right, item 61. A few months ago, well, it's, I say a few months, about a year ago, this board authorized myself, along with Wagner Engineering, CMPDD, and the West Madison Utility District to all come together and apply for a Community Development Block Grant, CDBG. We put in that application. We were expecting to hear in September. Some things happened at the Woolfolk Building. MDA finally got back to us last week. The application was accepted. As CDBG and the state, and I guess the feds in some capacity, are going to give Madison County $600,000. The county has agreed to put in $200,000 in ARPA money for $800,000+ worth of work on sewer rehabilitation in the Kearney Park area. So what I'm asking for this board to do today, yep, that one.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? I'll second Supervisor Griffin. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
All right.
That is great news.
It's going to be a great project for West Madison Utility District and the county as a whole. And while y'all are humoring me, whether you knew you were or not, I'd like to thank Wagner and West Madison Utility District's board, as well as their engineers and CMPDD for their work. That they did the heavy lifting here, not me.
And Greg, I know that you did a lot of work on this for Supervisor Banks as well.
Yep.
I left out Supervisor Banks. Yeah, he did the
mean,
real heavy lifting. I just kind of sat in the meeting.
I know y'all had several meetings and phone calls as well, so.
Correct.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right, item 62, I am requesting authority to present an invoice to Canton Tourism. This is for repair of the courthouse grounds. The invoice that is attached to your agenda there is from Wilson & Wilson Irrigation. They are the folks that put in the system and have worked on it since. It has been, yep.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. I'll second it. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Same.
Fair enough. 63, seeking authority to advertise for lease purchase of tractor trucks, dump trailers, and lowboy trailers. This was budgeted at the beginning of the year. This is something that the county has been planning on doing. It was simply an issue where the board can't spend more than a quarter of its budget in the first term, or the first quarter of the fiscal year before an election, so we couldn't get around to actually doing this until now.
Got a motion, Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Item 64 is the same story, looking for authority to advertise for a motor grader.
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, item 65, the update on the circuit courthouse design and meetings. I guess it would have been either last week or 2 weeks ago. We had the architect, 3 circuit judges, a representative from the DA's office, myself and Supervisor Steen all sat in a room. The architect had preliminary plans and listened to the judges and the circuit clerk, I left her out, listened to their concerns. They have since that point flown a drone over the circuit courthouse and have figured out where kind of the utilities are. The design at this point includes new DA space, a little space for the public defenders, extra circuit clerk space, and we're hoping that we'll find the money to get rid of that green on the wall because I don't like it. What the judges have dubbed it St. Dominic's Green, and I would like to get rid of it if at all possible. So all of that was discussed at this most recent meeting, and they are moving forward towards schematic design.
And Greg, this is just one of the other capital projects that I was referring to when we was having the discussion on Bozeman Road as far as the county's finances, because this is not going to be cheap. It's very expensive. It's going to be very expensive, several millions of dollars. And so this is a decision that once we move forward with it, it'll probably come in front of the board, next 2 months, 3 months, as far as the final design?
Let's call it 3 months, just.
3 months?
Yeah.
So it's going to come in front of the board for this board to decide on what do we do, if we do anything at all. And it probably will be broken down in phases as well, possibly, to be able to give the board a couple of options if we're going to move forward. So appreciate you bringing the update on this, one project, as well as we have several more in the hopper.
I believe it was a good meeting, and the idea is to get people what they need to do their job. So,
and also I'm going to say this, because I know Judge Ratcliffe would say this as well if he was standing up there where you are, is that we've been working on this project now for 6 years as well. And so it's time to move this one forward too. And I know that he's said that time and time again because it's needed. So
it's been through a few iterations, yes, sir.
It has.
All right. Item 66 is a request to authorize advertisement for the Sulphur Springs softball field construction.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Second that.
Motion Supervisor Griffin?
Yes.
Second Supervisor Banks, discussion.
I talked to Paul about this the other day. I am all in favor of the county getting involved in parks in the county and in the cities to make them better. Paul told me that we're going to be applying for a grant for this, right?
No, it was gonna be basically get it approved through the ARPA money.
The ARPA money.
Yeah.
So I believe you told me that no county taxpayer money would be going towards this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I heard everything right when we talked the other day, and I think it's a good thing. From what I understand, currently the kids out there have to work around the Canton schedule. There are no softball fields out there. It'd be like me having to go to Clinton to play softball. So I got no problems.
It's
Okay.
really coming out of revenue loss.
Yeah.
Revenue loss funds, which is a feature of the ARPA program.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 67.
All right, item 67, this is just a pay application for the Freds across the street, the new courthouse. They didn't get it they send them out on the first of the month, and it was too late for the claims docket.
Got a motion by Supervisor Banks, I'll second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
All right, and I do have one other item that I got an email during this meeting regarding the Inflation Reduction Act tree grant. I just received the contract for us to agree with the Arbor Day Foundation. They're going to serve as the pass-through. I'll bring that contract back before this board for approval at the next meeting. But they've sent the contract, so we are moving forward with $300,000 worth of trees at Sulphur Springs Park. Probably going to also bring y'all a contract for a landscape architect because I have no idea where trees need to go.
Okay.
We need that contract pretty quick.
I'm going to bring them both to you next meeting.
Architect.
Yep.
Need a motion?
No, sir, that was
That's
just
the information?
just informational, yes, sir.
Thank you, Greg.
All right.
Okay, Nassan? Comptroller?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Fun.
Item number 68 is approval of the budget amendments.
I'll make a motion for approval. Do I have a
Second that
Second,
motion.
second Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Item 69 through 71 is approval for the general claims docket and 2 payroll dockets.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I'll make the motion, Supervisor Banks will second it, I guess. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Supervisor Banks, you take item 72.
Item 72 would be for the February 29th payments of 2024. You can give it to us.
Yes, sir, for the Precor claim docket.
There's a motion, is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
And then the last item, number 73, is approval to pay the board, the poll workers for the work on March 12th election.
Ain't March 12th yet. Oh, move.
What is this one now on, I got a motion by Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second?
I think.
Second Supervisor Griffin. Now, this is for the poll workers.
March 12th.
Have they been approved by the election commissioners?
So what we do is that we take the people that we paid the last claim docket, and all of those people who will work, then they can get paid.
Do what now?
The people who work the last poll, we take all those names and then put them here for them to be approved to be paid. But they have to do the work, and the election commissioner has to select these people to work, and then they will be paid. Sometimes they get people who are not on this list, so they cannot be paid
I guess.
to the next meeting.
Right. I guess what I'm asking is, it was brought to our attention last year that there were some people that wasn't qualified.
And so they're not qualified, then the election commissioner should not select them to work, and then they will not be paid.
Okay, so this is not to pay them, this is just to select them.
This is to pay them if they are selected by the election commissioners.
Yeah.
And the election commission have to submit a list back to us.
Right.
Of who worked. And if they name not on that list,
They will not be paid.
They will not get paid.
Yeah, but I'm still missing something here. I know, and you may be saying, both of y'all may be saying exactly what I'm missing, but I want to make sure I get it clear, because last year we had 2 or 3 people that wasn't qualified. If we approve this list, and if those same people are on this list, then they are qualified to work if the party decides to put them to work, right?
They are qualified to be paid if the party selects them to work.
If the party selects them to work.
Right.
But I think and again, I'm just discussing this at this point. I think what I understand the election commissioner was going to do is go through the names first and then bring them to the board.
So that has not how it's been done in the past. They
You're-
have
you're-
not conveyed
you're
that to
correct.
us. The election commissioners have not conveyed that to us. So this has
You're
been our
correct.
standard procedure, is to bring the list before to get them paid if they all worked.
Okay.
And Supervisor Stain, to your point, this is not approving them to work. This is not approving them to do anything other than more or less a pre-approved worker list. And as far as whether or not someone is qualified, that's going to have to come from the election commission. This is just so that they're not waiting until the March 18th meeting to get paid, which I promise you, my phone
And
greatly,
mine.
and his, greatly appreciates this list. This is not approving them to work. That's going to come from the parties in this case.
Okay,
as they run the
that's
primary.
where I'm going. The party last time approved these people to work as well that wasn't qualified.
I
The Board
don't
of
believe the
Supervisors
last.
didn't approve them. We paid them, but the party approved them. And that's what I'm saying, though, and that's what you're saying as well. If we approve this list, then it's left up to the party. And if the party does not do its due diligence to ensure, and I'm talking about both parties, to ensure that they're qualified, and then they go and work, do we have the right to not pay them, Mike? If we do, I'm in favor of,
They're not qualified.
They're not eligible, yeah.
if they're not qualified, but yet they worked, and then it comes in front of this board for payment because they worked election day, can we say no?
no.
Can we say no?
Yep.
How?
Not sure, but I think it's a
They
big
didn't already
problem.
perform the service.
It's a big problem.
It would be a what?
It'd be a big problem if we find out, for instance, that they, Eleni, on the record.
Right.
And they're not eligible, and they've worked. I think that, well, that's mainly what I think. I have to check it out, but I believe that would be a problem for the board, and I would recommend they not be paid until the problem is worked out.
Wait, I got another question. Has both parties signed the contract with the election commission? Isn't there a contractual obligation between the parties and the commission?
That's between the commission and the parties. That's not
I know.
for us to review.
And the same thing goes for qualification of poll workers. To do that, you've got to basically have access to the SIMS system, which is statewide election management, something. Neither the comptroller's office nor I, nor anyone outside of the circuit clerk and the election commission have access to that system.
Only question that I have is, if there's some people that work in the polls and you have to have certain qualifications to work in a poll. You have to live in Madison County for one, from my understanding. And from what I understood last election, there was some that did not live in Madison County, but yet they worked at the poll and we paid them. And so I'm just trying to, my question.
That's from happening here.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say.
Seems to be a simple solution to this. If we approve this list and we impose a condition on the parties to review each person and confirm with us that they're eligible.
Well,
I'm good with that as long as we still have the option to not pay them if they're not qualified to work at that poll or to work, at that poll.
Put that into the conditional statement, so the party already knows that they're subject not being paid. We found out that they're not qualified.
yeah, but is that legal? For someone that already worked for Madison County?
They're not qualified, they're not qualified.
They're not eligible to
Be paid.
But I'm saying, we would make
Oh,
it
no, approve
incumbent
the
on
list,
the
'cause I'm not
parties
dealing
to
with all the
review
phone calls.
eligibility. I mean, they wouldn't want that to happen anyway for them.
I wouldn't think so either.
Well, we got one chairman of the party of Madison County in the room here. So he is hearing this right now. So the other chairman need to make sure
That's right.
they get notice to check their list, make sure they are qualified.
Mike, is there any precedent of us saying, if a party chooses someone who isn't qualified, and they work, that the county doesn't pay them, that the party does?
I mean, it's a party primary.
It is.
Mr. Banner, I'm not sure. I'm really
Just a
not
question,
sure.
just to say, hey, we're not paying your guy, you selected someone that's not qualified, that $115 or $150 or $200 for the day is coming out of your pocket for not doing your due diligence.
I think what we can do is to alert both parties through a statement on the minutes at this list that is being asked for. As a condition from this board that this list has to be scrutinized and make sure that everybody on this list is eligible. And they can work or not work, that's them, but we won't pay them. As long as we can tell them that, and they do extra diligence before they assign these poll workers, I think that would clear us.
All right?
I'm good as long as it clears us that we do not pay anyone that is not qualified to work at the polls, period. So y'all two, Supervisor Griffin, you made the motion, Supervisor Banks the second. Will y'all be willing to change your motion to what Mike said?
Yeah, I move what Mike said.
Andy, you got what Mike said?
Okay.
All right, then.
We moving what Mike said.
We might have to let you have that job and tell Ronnie to go on vacation.
No. We just want to make sure we do not pay them.
You're just imposing a condition on the respective
Party.
parties.
Yeah, which, that's where it should be.
That's where it should be, and that motion is we would not pay them if they're not qualified.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, next is Mr. Lott.
Nothing,
Mr. Clark. Sheriff?
Just one item, if you would acknowledge the inmate meal log for February 2024. I'll provide that to you, clerk, if we could acknowledge that for the minutes.
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks, do I have a second? Second Supervisor Griffin, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
That's all I have.
Thank you, Sheriff. Old business? New business? Do I have a motion to go in closed termination?
Motion.
Got a motion Supervisor Baxter.
Second.
Second Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? What are we going for?
3 items for litigation.
For litigation.
5 minute break.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Supervisor
Second.
Griffin, second Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
We are now going into executive session.
Yeah.
Understand what I was trying to get at? Right, that's the way it sounds. We'll be meeting on the 18th, if it's not a holiday.
Okay, I'll just be coming back from LA.
Thank you, Dwayne. We are backing out of the executive session, and Mr. Clark?
Yes, Mr. President. Board of Supervisors took the following action in executive session, which is to proceed with quick take action on, to include the filing of an amended complaint, to include interested parties in the Gilmer litigation.
All right, thank you, sir.
Sounds good. That's
Do we have a motion to adjourn to the 18th, March 18th, 9 a.m.? Motion by Supervisor Baxter. Do I have a second?
second.
Second Supervisor Banks.
All
Discussion.
right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll say
Thank
aye.
you, Dwayne. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll say aye if you say aye.
Finish signing this stuff here.
Mr. Banks and Mr. Griffin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good deal.